Welcome to another special interview episode of the film Blerds. Today we had the pleasure of chatting with two of the stars of The Accountant 2, Cynthia Addai-Robinson and Daniella Pineda.
Get your films on with the Blerds!
Once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate.
Unpacking movies has never been more spot on, woke, fire, and just plain lit.
They are lit all the time.
So if you're unsure whether or not to plop down some cash for a film, check out the Blerds.
When a man with a 45 meets a man with a rifle, the man with a pistol is a dead man.
Rondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolyte.
You really only need to hang mean bastards. But mean bastards, you need to hang.
Don't say you weren't warned. Ridiculous. Here's Brandon and Jeff.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Stewart, a.k.a. Uncle Jeffrey from the film Blerds. And I am ecstatic, excited, elated to be talking to two of the stars of possibly one of my favorite action films of the year, The Accountant 2. So please, thank you, Cynthia, and thank you, Daniella, for joining me for this.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks for that stamp of approval. That's awesome.
Well, you're very welcome. You know, I don't usually. I'm very hard on action movies, so this
as
one,
you should be,
So you look like you're in the future, like you're on a Blade Runner set.
I'm trying. That's my whole entire aesthetic. So let's get into it. 8 years, between the first one and this one, and when I talk about it on the show, I say this is comparable to Terminator 2, as in the sequel is so much better, different, whatever, than the original, you know? So, Cynthia, let's start with you. What brought you back, right? Besides the paycheck, how did they rope you back 8 years later? Was it the script? Was it, did someone just say, we need you? What was going on?
Oh man. I mean, the universe brought me back. It's sort of not the timing that you get to choose. You know, you get the call, you get the bat signal, pun intended. But right. Yeah, I had hoped when we finished the first one that the story would continue, because I knew that was the intention. If we did our jobs right, if it all went well, then we'd hopefully get, another shot at it. And ultimately it did take the 8 years, and I don't believe that was originally the plan. But the benefit of that length of time is that there is really an opportunity to thoroughly think through the story that you want to tell or revisit. And I think the benefit of time to let these characters grow and evolve, because we're taking the same time jump in the story, this 8-year time jump. And so it wasn't even a question of whether or not I would come back. I was grateful to be asked back, and I didn't know in what capacity, So when I got the script, nobody had told me what the story was going to be, what the tone was going to be. I just read the page and learned for myself. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that not only was I going to get a lot more to do as Mary Beth Medina and really sort of like lead the audience through this mystery, but the movie tonally gave you the familiar of the first movie, but felt completely different. It felt like it was just trying for a lot of different things, more humor, more heart. And I think, my husband and I talk about this all the time because he's a massive James Cameron fan, that if you do a sequel, that you've got to do like a genre flip, like you have to sort of change it, because otherwise, again, it feels like a rehash. And I just imagine the version where, let's say we rushed out a sequel the following year. It wouldn't have had the time to marinate. Maybe there wouldn't be the same sense of what the movie could be. And so I'm actually really glad it took as long as it did. Even though, sure, would I have loved it like a few years earlier? Yes. I think the audience as well. So sometimes it's like the timing is the timing, and it's to the benefit of this story and sort of what we've all been able to sort of, just marinate on in the 8 years.
Daniela, new kid on the block, right? How did you get involved when you read the script? What was it that was like, yes, I have to do this? Because full disclosure, I'm terrified of you in this movie. Right? Like you could just be there listening to J.K. Simmons ramble, and you're still the most dangerous person in the room, which is, a difficult thing to do. So please.
Which in real life, I feel like I'm like the lady with like two like martinis on a tray, like trying to go to like a salsa party. And so it was a departure from me in real life. Well, I remember when I got the audition, they always tell you very little. And the one thing that I could identify at the, searing at the scene was that like, okay, this person is a scary person. This person is, a person of few words. And usually if you're a person of few words, but there's a direct intent, the assumption is that like, this person doesn't care how they come off. This person is out for themselves. And so when I was working on this audition, I just, I kept making it still and more still and more still. And thankfully, I mean, this has been so wonderful for my career to play a villain and like a scary one. And it was so much fun and honestly, not necessarily the kind of role that you see very often. I mean, I guess it's no coincidence. Bill Dubuque, he also was one of the writers, creators of Ozark. And that series has really scary women, like really scary women. So I feel like Bill Dubuque is also largely responsible for her being scary. I just, did my thing.
So I'm trying not to spoil anything for the audience, but let's talk about, you're both involved in a brutal fight scene. Actually, one of the most brutal hand-to-hand fight scenes in the movie. What was that like? What was the preparation for that? Like the choreography? Let's get into that.
Yeah, Cynthia and I were working at it for several months, and we got very fortunate because they told us, hey, we're going to shoot this fight scene at the end of the movie. So I know she and I were both like, oh, thank God, we're going to have all this, time to rehearse and we trained. I mean, we trained a lot, and it is much like a dance. It's like a big dance number, except it's like you're brutalizing one another, but getting all that choreography. Yeah, exactly.
What was one for both of you? What was one of your favorite scenes to actually work on? Was it like it could either be an action sequence or just like a quiet moment in the movie? What was something that was really special for you and you really wanted to like put your foot into this one scene?
I mean, for me, it is the fight, because I think the fight is sort of, it's the encapsulation of sort of like what both of these characters are trying to sort of achieve in the moment. And as Daniella said, we had all this time to sort of prepare, but then once we got into like filming the actual movie, we almost had to set it to the side and sort of, do the other scenes that we had with other characters and sort of know that in the back of our mind, okay, there's this like real run up and build up to this sort of climactic moment. And what I love as an actor, I mean, when I think back to, what I enjoyed watching or whatever I dreamed of being an actor, never in my wildest dreams did I think I would get to do stunts or have fights. I loved watching them in movies. I appreciated them. But when you're given something that you're just like, oh, this is kind of the thing that makes it cool to be an actor, and you see the way your friends and your family react to it, like I'm proud of it. And I feel like for the audience, like you want the audience to just have the moment along there with you where they're like, oh my God, like they're just so sort of vocal in their reaction. And yeah, I was like excited to do it. I think it makes you feel like a kid again. Cause I mean, in a weird way, like, fighting around, but like, I don't know. It just felt like sometimes the action or a physical movement transcends dialogue. It's no longer about what two people are saying to one another. It's all in the movement. It's all in the fight for your life, whatever it is that's happening. So I love it as an audience member and I love it as an actor because you have to boil things down to their essence. You're not going to get the sort of witty dialogue to sort of lean on. You just got to like physically tell the story.
Yeah. Well, I would say my fight scene as well, but I guess to bring up a different one. My scene with J.K. Simmons was one that I was really, really looking forward to. I think anytime you have the privilege of A, being a working actor, and then B, being a working actor with another really, really, really good actor, which, doesn't always, it doesn't always come around. You get to work with, Oscar winner. Funny enough, in that scene, I'm like intimidating him. And in real life, it was like so the opposite. Like, how am I going to appear intimidating and scary to this guy who like in real life in the acting world is like a beast, that was really, really fun. And I love the kinds of scenes where, your actor, your fellow actor who you're working with is so decorated and so talented that you have no other choice but to do the absolute best that you can. You should do that regardless. But when you're in the presence of someone like that, it's a good kind of pressure. It just makes you a better performer.
I just realized, too, as you were saying that we both had the trial by fire, because, again, I think back to the first movie and I had almost all my scenes with JK. And so I similarly, JK was literally winning his Oscar when we filmed The Accountant. He was doing the awards campaign for Whiplash. And I was a huge fan of
scary in that movie.
Scary in that movie, but I was also a fan of his from Oz, like, to really like back.
It took me a couple of years not to call him Schillinger. And I'm going to get a shirt made for both of you that says, I survived a scene with J.K. Simmons. I think you're part of a special club now.
We are part of a special club, but we relish it. And like Daniella said, it's like when someone's that good, you have to meet them at where they're at. And it works for the characters. There's something about like the more nervous you are, the more focused you become. And so if there's some interesting tension there, it works somehow, like obviously in the first movie, it's me. I'm like nervous, like he's calling me in. I'm nervous in real life. The character's nervous. It works. But whatever the tension is that you don't necessarily have to act it. It's already kind of there. And then on top of that, then you're kind of putting like the scenario and the character and all of that. But JK, when you meet him, again, we just had our premiere in LA and caught up with him. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's a teddy bear. He's so nice. It was nice to see him out of like, intensity mode.
Yeah.
So this is they're telling me I have to wrap up soon. But before I go, I just want to put this out there. Is there anything else that you want to say? Anything on the back of your mind? I'm gonna sing the praises of The Accountant 2, from the mountaintop. But is there anything left on the table?
I think Medina and Anais, they need their own spinoff, their own series, their own little situation. That's what I think.
I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to spoil anything, but like I'd buy a ticket for that, honestly.
Right? I want to see that.
Accountant to the third power. Accountant to the third power.
So it's out into the universe now, right? So whoever's listening.
I'll throw in there that the movie is out in theaters this Friday, the 25th, and theaters being the key word, because to me, really, this is a movie that seeing it with an audience, seeing it at a theater, there's something kind of throwback about it. It's just a fun movie. Like it's like I miss this kind of movie. And yes, you can watch it at home, but I think to see it in a theater is like the way to go.
Yeah. I said this in my review. This is a real 90s throwback Shane Black type movie. And that's why I loved it.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So thank you very much. Good luck. Congratulations. Keep kicking ass. And The Accountant 2 out in theaters this Friday. Let's do it.
Yay. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
We're the Film Blerds. I'm Brandon Norwood, and I'm the motherfucking protagonist.
I'm the protagonist.
I'm Jeff Stewart, a.k.a. He Who Remains.
Don't come at us. It's just fucking movies.
You've been listening to the Film Blerds podcast.
Man, I just love what you guys do, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best. It's my favorite podcast.
Follow Jeff on IG on MindFireXL and Brandon on Twitter at BJN Tweets.